Welcome to the present moment. Thank you for your precious attention. I've been looking forward to putting my little bit out there during this really phenomenal time. But before I get into all the playful goodness and all of my musings, I want to first of all just really acknowledge and honor that there are tons of people who are really, really scared right now. Scared for their health, scared for resources, scared for multiple reasons. And that their fears are legit, and though some of us are really great at reframing and we actually feel quite unexposed to the actual drama of all of this, we're sort of like on the edges and quarantining and whatnot. I just want to acknowledge that how everyone feels is valid. Like there is not one way to move forwards in this. And I really, my disclaimer here is that your own way is the way. Okay? So, yeah, with that saying, my reframe of what's going on during this raddest time in human history is that there is a great shift in the consciousness of humanity, and it's been coming for a while. I mean, each and every one of you, me, you, everyone that we know on some level has been desiring and aching for things to change, for things to shift and lift. And I'm not talking about the virus itself right now. What I'm talking about is the way that our systems are built. I'm talking about the grind that people find themselves in, the rat race, the ambition, the racing, the competing, the protecting. This sort of hustle to just get by is really, really common. And I feel like on a level, though it is super abstract, that there is a great answered prayer that's happening right now. How many of you were asking for more time, more space to just catch up with life, and it not be about a holiday where there's this other hustle for gifting and for theming and for all the things? Like when we finally get time off, it's usually just as stressful as work. Whereas this has created like a shutdown of the world as we know it. And so everyone's been told, go home, just go home. And so there's some wonderful byproducts of what's going on here. My number one favorite byproduct of this time in human history, due to what we're calling the coronavirus, is a heightened conscious participation in our resources. It started out with frenzy buying. People freaked out about stuff like toilet paper, which I find interesting because that's probably one of the last things I'd truly worry about personally. But for some people, that was a legit situation. But now, what I'm imagining every time I go to the loo is that every square is sacred. Every square of toilet paper has some sort of value now, a significance. Yet just only 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, there was this unsort of conscious use of resources and a waste, basically, a waste, and we've been taking a lot of things for granted. One of the things that we're having trouble getting hold of here is any sort of dried produce, and I'm pretty sure that's the same all over the world. So now suddenly we have this conscious participation in products. We have conscious participation in the way that we connect. There is so much benefit here, and unfortunately, as my great teacher Michael Beckwith has said over and over and over throughout the years, is that pain pushes or vision pulls. Now, there's been a small community of people on this planet during this time that have been pulled by a vision, trying to demonstrate a new way of being, a new culture, a way of connection and mindfulness, caring about the earth and our resources and the way we turn up with each other, caring for elderly and for unfortunate situations where people need help. There is a conscious community on this planet that has been pulled by a vision. However, it's quite a small community. And so now, and I think that most of you who are watching this video are probably in that community. You have been knowing that there is a better way. So now pain pushes and it causes this halt on the way that we've been doing things. It causes a lot of fear, primal fight or flight behavior, and a lot of really scared people because they don't understand that behind all of this there is a larger power at hand. And so, I'm going to digress here, but what I want to suggest, a serving suggestion for humanity, is to let's let everyone off the hook right now for strange behavior, for freaking out, for being scared, sad, angry, frustrated. I've got like an onslaught of entertainer friends who work in the entertainment industry, dancers, singers, musicians, actors, all sorts of people like that who literally their lives are on ice. Their livelihood has ended, until further notice. However, there are great gifts here. But I think that human kindness is one of the first places that we can begin this wonderful transformation together. In the event that this halt, this pause, this great disruption is not really just about a virus, which, by the way, let's talk about that for a second, because is there not a faster way to unify all of humanity than a biological war? A small biological code that replicates itself through human touch and contact and can actually make us sick and kill some of us. Like, is there not a faster way to actually unify us? Because now it's borderless, it's raceless, it is genderless, it is ageless, it is all of these things are suddenly, it's not even an issue. Now, humanity is on a level playing field. Again, bravo, universe. I mean, what a genius way to unify an entire planet, an entire species. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it speaks to the divine intelligence that's governing all things. When I say that this is an answered prayer, and I say that we've all been asking for things to change, and we're past the change. Actually, we're talking about transformation. Change is when we rearrange the furniture and we keep patching up systems, outdated systems. I'm talking money systems, currency systems, education systems, political systems, food systems and distribution, like all of these things that are just so mutated and then been driven by the dollar. Really, they can't just keep being patched up. In fact, what needs to happen is probably a great big tear down of the entire freaking structure and a rebuild with a new vision in mind. Now, when is a good time to do that? When is a good time to actually do that? There is never a freaking good time. There is never a good time. Like nowism, there's never a good time to start nowism. There's never a good time to start loving yourself, for making time, for being conscious. There's never a good time. It's always now. And so here we have a divine intelligence that has responded to a collective desire for change. This is my translation of what's truly going on past what looks like just a virus that could take out the planet. I believe that there was a great need for unification. We've been trying to talk about climate change for so long, and then half the world doesn't even believe that that's true. There has been such a desire for unity, but that we haven't all been in the same boat. But now, boom, suddenly there is a slightly more level playing field. Now, it's a given. I know that some people are far more set up for quarantine than others. But I do feel like it does create a moment in time, a mindful moment, a monumental moment, where we can actually just rest in the present moment together separately and actually start to contemplate, like, if we are going to reboot the now, let's say that that's possible, to actually reboot reality, what would you change? What would you become? What would you shift? What would you lift from this story of clutter and competition and competing and protecting and racing and the lack of consciousness that's going on? What would you change? And then I put the ball straight in your court by reminding you, me, that there is a quantum field that's governing all things. This is science now. It's such an exciting time in this field where we're realizing that in order to heal anything in the external, you go inside and you heal it in you. So if you see frenzy buying and you see incorrect inappropriate behavior, if you see people who are fear-driven, stop for a minute before you go judging and banging the drum about your lofty consciousness, and instead go and hunt inside of you for where there is a presence of frenzy buying, grabbing, snapping, holding on. Not enough, not enough, not enough. Because if it's out there in the world, that means there's a presence here inside of me. And I believe that this type of consciousness is what's being called forth. I mean, think about it. It's like the planet, Gaia, has said, everyone go home and have a good freaking think about what you've been doing. Not based on a holiday, not based on anything that's gotta, must, should, none of that. Just stop the freaking game, go home and have a freaking think about what are you becoming. You've got plenty of time to do this now. And it's a rich time. It's a very sacred time, but it's going to require a little bit of a creative reframe, right? Yes, social, physical distancing. Wash your hands, Be mindful of how things travel, including be mindful of how fear travels. I've been joking, but not joking about this for so many years, because my entire curriculum now is, my body of work is based on the idea that there's a contamination in the mental atmosphere called fear. I do this because it's a flash tag, it's an energy, it's a fuel behind the scenes of humanity. And so if we treat fear and as understanding it like a virus that can be passed around via us, and suddenly we start to understand that we need to actually alkalize our thinking as well. We need to alkalize the way that we feel. Therefore, when we alkalize those two things, we start to behave in a more alkaline way, in a trusting way as a community. This is such a poignant time for me and my work, because I'm suddenly seeing, it's like I'm standing in the center of my own story. I feel responsible for the manifestation on a personal level, that suddenly there is this great contamination. We're seeing how fear has changed the behavior of people all around the world. And yet underneath fear and behind all of that, there is this opportunity for oneness. So friends, everybody in general, myself in particular, I want to encourage us to love, 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 no matter what, love. Let the people who are in fear off the hook. And if you can take a moment and help someone feel trust for a second, to actually feel trust, then do that. That is the greatest gift you could give anyone right now. A friend who is spinning out because their work has ended and they don't know what's going to happen, help them believe in humanity again. Help them believe in the kindness of humans. Help them believe again. That's the way that we can be in service during this time in human history. Share your freaking toilet paper, and be creative. I think that some of the places like Spain and Italy have been like such, reverential demonstrations of humanity. I mean, have you become teary watching some of the people standing out on balconies playing music, and the absolute orchestration of unity that's happening in people's isolation? It's a beautiful time in human history. Let us be creative. Let us come together. Let us spend the time going in, and then share your revelations. I'm going to step up my presence now, because I feel like, I've got a lot of love to give. I've got a lot of overflow to give. All my needs are actually met. Here I am. I'm in LA. It's pretty wild outside, but I do feel that my needs are met. And so if you have any needs for a reframe, if you are experiencing something specifically, please send me a message. I would love to share with you, to serve you in some way. And in the comments in this video, I'd love to know what you are feeling. What are you feeling? What are you changing about your own nature? What are you doing to transition us into the new paradigm? What a great way to share. Anything else? Let me think. I just bought a jungle today, literally. I got in the car, a truck actually, and I went to a big garden center, and they let me in. Not everyone's letting everyone in, fair enough. And I bought a jungle to put inside, because I feel like, this is a time to nurture the body temple, to drink lots of water, to get into sunshine, to breathe, breathe, breathe. Let's be the change we're looking for. Cat Doors, if you know anyone who could do with a little uplift, please share the video, tag them, do all the things. And just remember, we are in this together. Big loves, Richard Snails.